Hey everybody, Jason here. So here's the thing that gets people really uncomfortable. If one ancient culture tells a strange story, well, we call it a myth. And if two cultures tell the same similar story, we call it a coincidence. But the same basic pressure keeps appearing across civilizations separated by geography, language, and even religion. So at one point, are we allowed to ask whether they were remembering something, right? Not the exact same event, not the exact same beings. I really need to be clear about that, but maybe the same kind of event. I mean, if you think about Mesopotamia, you have the Apkallu, the ancient sages tied to wisdom of the deep. You have Oannes, remembered as emerging from the sea and teaching humanity the arts of civilized life. Things like writing, law, agriculture, building, measurement, and even order. And then if you take a look at India, Manu was warned by a fish about a coming flood. He prepares life and sacred knowledge cross the waters and survive into the next age. If you move into Greece, we're looking at Prometheus. He gives humanity fire, which isn't just a campfire, right? It represents technical power, the ability to create, transform, build, and eventually destroy. And then you have Deucalion, surviving a flood and helping humanity begin again. And then there's the popular figure Enoch and the Watchers, right? Beings descend, they teach knowledge that changes human society. Things like metallurgy, weapons, celestial secrets, and other magic arts. But the knowledge doesn't simply improve the world. It actually destabilizes it. Violence grows, judgment follows, but different names, different gods, different moral frameworks. But actually listen to the structure, right? Something comes from outside ordinary humanity. Knowledge is then given, human capacity changes, the world then becomes unstable, catastrophe follows, a remnant survives, and then we repeat the cycle over. That is weird. And I don't mean weird as proof. I mean similarity isn't proof that one global civilization taught everybody. Human beings share the same fears, we live near water, we watch the sky, we deal with floods, war, power, and even death, right? And of course, stories can develop similar themes independently, but sometimes humans begin to tell similar stories because an excuse to stop looking at the actual details. Because it isn't only the flood that appears, it's a massive combination. Flood plus a warning, right? Warning plus a selected survivor. Survivor plus preserved knowledge plus a civilizing teacher plus a forbidden gift plus corruption plus reset. One shared theme. Sure, it can be a coincidence. A repeating cluster does deserve attention, but that's the line. One shared theme can be a coincidence. A repeating cluster deserves massive attention. And the names changing may be exactly what we should expect if some ancient memory traveled through thousands and thousands of years. Stories never remain clean. They're translated. Conquered peoples absorb the gods of conquerors, right? Priests rewrite older traditions. Local heroes merge with foreign deities and symbols begin to change their meaning, right? A historical figure becomes divine. A boat becomes a sacred vessel. Even a protective suit becomes the body of a fish. A teacher from a distant land becomes a being from some alien realm. Memory doesn't move through time like a video file. It moves like a rumor surviving a fire. So parts disappear, parts get exaggerated, and new meanings begin to attach themselves. But the emotional core always seems to remain, right? The world broke, and then someone knew, someone warned us, something was saved, and knowledge came back. So, that might be why these stories feel familiar, even when the characters are, completely different. Oannes isn't Matsya, and Prometheus isn't Enki, and the Watchers are definitely not the Apkallu. Kadir isn't Thoth, right? Pretending they're all the same would kind of destroy the very evidence we're trying to understand. The difference itself does really matter, but the pressure underneath them may matter as well. Maybe ancient cultures weren't copying one another. Maybe they were responding to similar catastrophes, and maybe survivors carried fragments along migration and trade routes. Maybe people encountered different teachers, or maybe even human civilization has repeatedly brushed against an intelligence that enters our stories, whatever language a culture already understands. You know, a fish in one place, an angel in another, a serpent somewhere else, a sky lord, a water sage, even a hidden guide. I don't know which answer is right. Maybe none of them are actually complete, but dismissing the whole pattern because mythology isn't literal history is absolutely lazy. You know, myths weren't written as police reports. They carried memory, they carried trauma, identity, warnings, and even power of knowledge. The story actually changes clothes, but the actual hurt or the cut or the wound underneath it stays. And then here's the bigger mystery, right? If these traditions are distorted memories rather than random inventions, are we looking at one forgotten chapter of human history? Or, you know, have the same kind of teachers appeared more than once? Each time civilization had to begin again. I don't know. Thanks for listening, guys. Namaste.